Ace pajamas.
Oh,
I am
hello. We are live already. Hi. Today is Wednesday night. We are
Greetings.
a little witchy Wednesday tonight. We are back again. I'm gonna let everyone do a little introduction. I am going to just put I'm trying to find here the video to play it real quick, but just so y'all know who you're talking to, here we go. Okay, and we're back. And right away, we're going to start introducing all the members of this little panel that we're having tonight, starting with Miss Nikki here.
Greetings, everyone. Great and happy Witchy Wednesday. Uh, I am Nikkeii Chevelle, and find me everywhere. Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, wherever your heart's desire, I am there.
Awesome. And we have Miss.
BB Apple Honey. You can find me at bbapplehoney.com. That's where you can find all of my goodies.
Awesome. And of course, we have our CEO here.
Hey, it's Carrie Platinum Pussy Anthony, the CEO of iHeartBBW.com.
And of course, I'm Big Cherry, and you can find me on bigbigcherry.com, or you can find me on Painters for You that get too dirty while doing their shit in the house. Anyways. I literally had the roller on and I'm like, it's tennis in it. Damn it. But we had an interesting topic that Nikki wanted to talk about, which I find it very good, especially for all of our beginners in the audience that have not digged into the spiritual realms, which was signs to know that you're having a spiritual awakening. Now, Nikki, if you want to tell us more about that, like how can we know?
Um, Everyone is different. I would say that. Uh, a lot of times, you spirit would draw you. I'm gonna give y'all some, of course, some that people say that all are common, but you get drawn to it. You have an interest for it. A lot of people have maybe had an interest for it when they were younger, like, and then as they got older, they might have forgot about it. But then when they got older and started wanting to know more and dabble in it and to unlearn things that they may have learned because it didn't make sense to them growing up, start their spiritual awakening. Um, I can say for myself, when I started dabbling and researching and like, let me go through this myself. I want to say it was 2017 is when I had my spiritual awakening. When I started, it was like, you know what? There's more to this, and I want to know more.
I want to
Um,
ask everyone else here, like, do you feel like there's a definitive moment that you feel you had a spiritual awakening?
um, Sitting in church, and somebody said something, and I just looked at my peoples that was there, and I was like, yeah, this is it for me. This is it. Like, if this is what's going to be taught here, um, I'm good. I got a bump on my tongue, y'all.
What
I
about
haven't seen
Oh,
happen. I had the
But
same thing happen in church where they were like, so I went into this one congregation, and you have to go through a visitors meeting, and the visitors meeting is really for them to transition you to a member, which costs money. Then you get into the new members meeting, and you have to go through a series of like 6 weeks of these meetings, like all the stuff that it's really just sales pitches. It's the
uh,
equivalent of what I would say is like when you go to like, when they're like, get a free trip to Disneyland, just go to this timeshare thing, right? That's how I felt with
Mhm.
the church. And then I went ahead and did like some of the meetings or whatever. And then they have you like, they basically put you through a list of like all the things that you have to do in order to become a member. And then some of them were, you had to attend a certain amount of socials, and, there was Bible study and like all these things, right? So I'm like, all right, so I'm going through the checklist, and I go to one of the socials, and at the social, the way that the people talked about other people at the church was disgusting. So I felt icky. I was like, wow, this is what church people do? Like, no. Then I went to right before I was supposed to be designated a member, and then you have to sign this thing that's like you're going to tithe 10% of your earnings. They want to see paycheck, and I was like, y'all are nosy. You want entirely too much information from me. And the money part, like them really putting the pressure for me to tithe, and basically the message that they were sending me was that the more money that I paid, the more forgiven I would be for my sins. And
Mm.
that, coupled with the way that they talked about people, just was a huge contradiction to everything that I had previously learned about religion. And so I was like, let me go to a new congregation. And when I went there, I kind of noticed a different format, but the same intention. And I was just like, this is it for me. I don't resonate with anything that's being said. I don't believe, and I'm not attacking anybody's religion. I just, for me, Christianity just seems very guilt ridden. And I don't believe these like stories where I feel like they were humans and we should have been taught that they're humans. Do I think that there are people that could be prophets and things of that nature? It's possible. I don't think anything's impossible, but I feel like a lot of the stories are created to make you feel guilty for being a human. And in that, in your guilt, you feel compelled to do things charitably because that might help you get to heaven, or you feel compelled to spend money and tribute to get to heaven. And I'm like, I'm not living my life like that. So I'm a spiritual person now.
hmm, nice. What about you, Apple Honey?
Am I weird to say I grew up mostly Southern Baptist,
Come on.
but honestly, I think right before I turned 30, and it sounds cliched, but posting myself online was really eye-opening in a way to where I learned about people. I learned about people's perspectives on life that were different than my own. And it opens your eyes to that everyone is different and everyone can be loved, but they need to be it's a different way to be seen, to be heard. It's different. So I've always thought myself to be like religious, but also spiritual because I'm open to the new possibilities because I don't feel like anyone is actually certain. It's okay to be confused, but also know that there are backbones of religion versus what is current because you can't take something that was written however many years ago and apply it to your life now because it's not modern. It's not new. It's not based off of people today. And I think posting content online and talking to people really opened my eyes to the world that I had never seen before. And I think that's where I still am. I love learning new things from people.
I feel like religion makes things like really black or white, and
It
they
does.
don't leave room for gray. And it's like they make it seem like life is all about the wrong choice and the bad choice, like there's nothing in between. And it's not, life is not easy. Every decision or every situation that you stumble upon in life is not as easy as black or white, wrong or right. It's just not always. Sometimes they're both evil and you have to pick the lesser of two evils.
Hmm.
So that for me is another thing for why religion just didn't resonate with me, is like they just make it seem like everything is so crystally clear. This is wrong, this is right. And in a lot of facets of our life, we do know what wrong and right is, and we still choose to do whatever it is, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But there's many situations that we face that you just can't look up a scripture and it's going to be like, this is what you should do. It's not
There's a
that
lot of
easy.
blurry spaces.
Yeah,
For sure.
but it
I
sounds
would
like
I would say
rejected
that
rejected
people
by
put
just didn't see religion as being the way, and in that way you found that there must be something else. In my case, I mean I'm Latina, so Latinos, we all grow up with the Christianity since we're like, get drilled in our brains. I was made go through, all of the Bible study and all that stuff. I did my communion. I did not do my confirmation. I think I didn't make it that far. But my family, we were not that religious. It was more like societal requirements, I guess. And like it was expected that you would go on on the Holy Week to church and all that stuff, and we did it, but it's not something that we actually were connected to. And I would say that for me, I feel like I don't call it a spiritual awakening, because at that time I was just figuring out what I believed in. Was in college where I finally was like, okay, let me actually look up if there's a name for what I believe in. And I found what my belief is, which is a deism. I can explain it later, but it that's exactly what I think about what's greater than us and everything. And afterwards, when I started seeing with astrology and everything, like there's so many what people would call coincidences about people that have certain signs or are in certain birth charts and all that, and it describes them so well. I was like, okay, it gets to a point where you cannot keep saying, oh, okay, I guess I'll give you that. It matches a little bit. Because when I looked at my own stuff, I was like, okay, come on. I'm a complicated human, and this is telling a lot of stuff that I am that I would not say about other people. And that's when I finally was like, okay, I do believe in this a little bit. I'm not like I am like getting into it here, like talking to y'all and like learning more about everything. And I feel like it doesn't have to be that I am 100% a believer on witches and witchy stuff and all of that. I feel like it's more of a thing of, if you have a certain mindset, it helps you. So call it whatever you want. I want to get on it. You know what I mean? So I would say that more awakening, it was like talking more about it with my friends and joining things like this here. Before we continue, I wanted to say hi, Jason, who's here with us right now, saying hi.
An apple bomb.
And Applebaum is right here. Hello, Applebaum. Hello, Jason. This
For
is
me, I feel like,
so I
go
want to
ahead,
say
Nikki.
something real quick. So one, people put God in a box. You know what I'm saying? They put God in a box. So they make it seem as though God is not bigger than this box. God does not have, and God has a weird sense of humor. You may want something for your life, but the purpose that is destined for you may be totally opposite. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's like with a spiritual awakening, it's different for everybody. But the main thing is your deeper connection with divine. And being able to understand like the nature of life and just have a sense of inner growth and transformation. It brings peace. It's that's your refuge. Like, you know what? I'm a woosah. I'm gonna have a woosah. My woosah moment is not for a moment. It's gonna be forever. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna have the tools and the proper things. Like, I'm gonna know my triggers. I know who triggers me, what triggers me. I'm gonna heal from my, my past trauma. It's not going to affect what's now and what's later. Um, and just being present as well. A lot of times we are so either caught in the past or we're worried so much about the future that we forget to be present in the moment. And that's why a lot of times, like when you talk about manifestation and things of that nature, you still, even though you're manifesting for the future, you still have to be present in the moment. And that's what me personally, I feel like a lot of people miss about spiritual awakening because they think about everything else, but what is your relationship with God? How is your relationship with God? What is your foundation like? It's like building a house. If you do not have a solid foundation, what are you building on? As soon as, well, the little, like three little piggies. You had the one with the sticks, the one with the straw, and then the one with the bricks. That's your foundation. If your foundation is shaky like them straw and the sticks, anytime you go through something, you ready to run, you ready to give up, you're ready to, you're not solid. But if you have your solid bricks, you're able to stand the test of time. You're able to say, you know what, I got this. Your mindset and how you feel will not, it won't sway.
For me, also, I feel like it's about being open-minded. I may not be 100% a believer of all the things that we've talked about or witchiness or even in religion. I feel like there are truths to everything. Like every religion has, like even um Allah and the whole like Quran, there's some truths in
Muslim.
there. Muslim, yes, thank you. I was trying to think of it while looking at something else. Totally lost my train of thought. But like I feel like every religion has truths to it. Like maybe you don't get 150 virgins or how many ever virgins you get or whatever, but there are some things that are staples of every religion where there is right and wrong. For me, I'm just open-minded. Do I 100% believe in witchcraft? I can't say that I've ever done a spell and it's happened successfully, but have I manifested something? Absolutely. Have I experienced paranormal activity? Yes, frequently, especially lately. Do I 100% believe in it? No, but you know what I mean? Like for me, I'm just open-minded to like, is there more than what I've been taught my whole life? 100%, because most of what I've been taught my whole life is a lie.
For me, it's like I think where we fail and like we lose people is on defining it or naming it certain things and like creating certain rules about everything that it loses people on the way. For me, it's like, oh, religion, I'm not religious, but spiritual, yes, I do believe there's something higher.
Yes.
I also believe that there's more to this than this. You know what I mean? So whatever it is, I don't know. Energy, call it whatever you want. I don't care what the label is. I just care to be good with it. So I think that's like the problem, that a lot of people focus so much on the definitions, the labels, and the division of, oh no, it has to be this way, that they lose everyone else along the way. If we would keep it open minded, I feel like everyone would get along with this kind of stuff. But
A lot of it has to do with ownership also. I need you to be a part of this religion because I own it. And that's why they try to differentiate with labels and breaking it up so that even though, this religion is kind of a copy of this one, we change it up a little bit so it's not exact. And that's what makes you want to draw to that one. And it's like, why? Like I'm cool with
Like,
It's usually because it becomes a business because
right, absolutely.
at the church,
right.
babe. So,
I think it depends on too the decade or the century it was written in. It depends on the rules of the era, so to speak. You
Mm,
break it down, you're like, this is acceptable now, but it wasn't acceptable then. This is acceptable now, so this is okay, and these are my rules.
yeah,
But this many years ago, it wouldn't have been. And you're looking into the future and you're going, it's not going to be acceptable then because it's not acceptable now. But you can't put it that way because you don't know what the next 10, 20, 50, 100 years will bring.
In my opinion, I feel like for me, my spiritual awakening also has to do with judgment, and I feel like a lot of religions are very judgmental for your life choices, and I feel like we're all individuals, and what my famous line is, what you eat don't make me shit. So, with that being said, who you choose to marry, who you choose to fornicate or have sex with, or whatever it is that you do and who you do it with, has nothing to do with me. Like I remember being in church, and one of the sermons was about a gay couple wanting to adopt a child and how that was so wrong and why was it wrong, and it's because God said that these two people shouldn't be able to be parents and that they shouldn't be, having any type of intimacy or relations. And I'm like, who are we to tell somebody else what they should or should not do? Who does it really hurt? And I understand obviously that was back in the 80s, so it was also a different time. But even still to this day, there's still a lot of religious people that are judgmental against people of different races, people that come from different cultural backgrounds, people that engage in what they consider to be homosexual activities. And for me, I'm like, I don't feel like those things are sins. And I could be wrong. That's just my opinion. But my spiritual awakening has a lot to do with, like, I don't want to be in the presence of judgment. I feel like when you're speaking of something higher, obviously there are staples of like killing someone, but even that could be argued as, what if you're in a situation where it's me or you and you're going to kill my child, you know what I mean? Like, or off, let me forget that we're on YouTube. But if I have to protect my child, like, if the only thing that I can do to protect my child in that moment is to, you know off somebody, then am I wrong for doing that? You know what I
honestly,
mean?
yeah, yeah. But that comes back to like all the rules of like having all these rules and
Right.
that at the end of the day, all these rules were written by humans.
And humans make mistakes.
Exactly.
And I don't think that they contemplate the maternal instinct of a
No.
freaking mother.
Well, they didn't consider women whatsoever, but that's another
True.
topic.
You make a very valid point, Cherry.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, no, but
That's how I always felt. I always felt like even when I was younger and my mom would drag me to church and I understood the the baseline, the model of it. Like you do good, you don't do bad, and you go to heaven. Like it was a very like structured just don't do this. But then, getting older you realize that mistakes happen, but also even in the Bible, no matter which version you read, he forgives you for your mistakes as long as you admit that you did them. So it goes along the lines of honestly spiritualism where you grow as a person. You admit that what you did was wrong and you ask for forgiveness to a higher power so you can continue and move forward in your life. No matter if you die, you move forward, whatever, you live a long life, you're still asking for forgiveness on your journey no matter how far you go, for those little hiccups that you made. And I feel like no matter what religion that you look into, It's very similar. When you make mistakes,
All very
there's
similar.
always a path to forgiveness.
Yeah, they're
For sure.
all very similar, except for the very, very weird ones, the culty ones.
Mm.
But they're all
The
Also,
culture.
I would say this.
what?
You have to have, with being spiritual, knowledge of self. And we have this thing called an intuition. Right, wrong, or indifferent. If your intuition tells you do it, you know, a lot of times we don't listen to it. And then we end up suffering the consequences of not doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's your inner God. Um, to piggyback what off you said, Apple, what if you don't know if it's wrong? What if you said we'll be forgiven as long as I can acknowledge that I did wrong? But what if in my eyes it's not wrong? What if I grew up and it's not, and I see this every day and it's not wrong? But to you it may be wrong. I think with that you have to, it's each and each, it goes by each individual and what you are willing to unlearn and learn. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to things of that nature. Because somebody who's stealing food because they hungry, to them that's not wrong. Yo, I'm hungry. I can't afford it. So I'm doing
it's
what the best I
survival.
can. I'm doing the best I
But
can.
even in what's it,
But hold on.
in the
But
Christian
yet,
Bible, it says at the end of times, as long as you understand and you believe in your heart that you knew that you were not in the wrong and you were doing right for what you felt, and you acknowledged it
you
and accepted that you accept the path to heaven.
And
but
that's
this is the
But
thing, you
people
can't
don't
go
read
by
that
what you
far.
felt. Like as far as certain things, because feelings will get you in trouble. Because
Oh
David, if
yeah.
you really wanted to break this down, David felt when he seen
Mm.
Bathsheba on that rooftop that was his cooch, okay? And he felt right in his, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's so many ways you can depict this. It just I just feel like when it comes to certain things, you really have to, one, do the research. Do the research. I don't care if you've never read the Bible, read the Bible. Read the Quran. I'm a person, I'd rather know everything and be able to go to somebody and ask questions and learn than to not know it and be ignorant.
Yeah,
Right.
that is true because I have friends that are Muslim and I remember like talking about them about the core beliefs and everything and like the practices and everything. And it's one of the most peaceful religions heard of. But of course, it has bad fame because of extremists. But even Christianism has extremists. Even all of them have people that are extreme and they give it a bad fame. So
Everything, yeah.
it's just like everything, it's just if you actually like experience it or actually get knowledge of it, you will see that it's actually you understand why people follow it. And for me, I think like the most important thing about knowing what's wrong and right, like you said, that's the definition of belief. Like what you believe is wrong or right, everyone has a personal definition of that. But I think like what people need to do better, and like everyone has to do better, is on minding their fucking business. If you would just,
Mindfulness.
it's right for yourself and for obviously for your own, and you would do what's right without trying to make others do what you think is right, we would be fine. We would not have all these problems because the biggest problem is when people are trying to tell others what is right because they don't want to see anything that is different from what they think. That's where we go wrong there. I feel like that's where
Mhm.
people fuck up.
Well,
It's mindfulness because even in like on comments on posts when people say just things, I'm always like, what you're teaching people negatively is wrong, whether it's your children or friends or people around you. If you're teaching negative energy at all, whether it comes to people's beliefs, looks,
Judgment,
anything,
judgment.
if you're teaching judgment, then you were doing something wrong. And if people weren't so judgmental and weren't so quick to teach judgment, the world would be a better place.
Yeah, but it's about control for these
Mm.
institutions and different groups. It helps them control people in that way.
That's
And
exactly what I was gonna say.
that's why I'm like, yeah, this is not for me for sure. But I still believe that there is something obviously higher. I believe that there's more than this. I believe that there's obviously a lot of spiritual things. There are too many things that are unexplained out there, and we don't have all the answers. So, yeah.
I
Some
feel like
things
we're
don't need to
we're
be.
underdeveloped for sure intellectually.
Some things don't need to be explained. Leave it like it is.
Oh,
You know what I'm
yes.
saying?
I,
Because once you get knowledge of it,
yeah.
what are you gonna do with that knowledge? Some people misuse the knowledge they're given. Some people don't use the knowledge they're given. You know what I'm saying? And some people overuse the knowledge they're given. So, it's some things I put it like this. Amen. Like I got a homegirl. She said, I want to know what's at the very deepest part of the ocean. Nothing. You don't need to know what's down there.
Didn't
Leave
need
it
to.
where it's
Nothing that
at.
concerns me.
Why the fuck did we need to get on the Titanic?
We don't need it. We don't need to see nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just certain things that are not explained that don't need to be explained. Leave it like it is. You know what I'm saying?
I
Um,
always tell people I'd rather go to the deepest parts of space before I go down to the bottom of the ocean. It's weird. You don't want to go there.
It's good to understand things for a personal journey, but there are things that definitely should be left alone. And
Hmm.
yeah, the
very
spiritual,
much so.
there are a lot of things that you can learn, but you don't have to dig into the deepest, darkest parts of it.
No, just live and be you in the moment, and people don't do that enough.
This is true.
People miss out on good people because they look at who they pray to. I don't give a rat's ass
Hmm.
who you pray to. As long as you treat me like a human being, as long as you do right by me, you don't lie to me, you don't steal from me, you don't abuse me in any way. I could care less who you pray to. Who you pray
I
to ain't
love
got
that
nothing to do with
sentiment.
me. But you being a decent human, that's my major. That's my main concern.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You miss out on good people when you sit and you judge the outer exterior and who they pray to and oh I don't mess with them because they this and I don't that's witchcraft. You miss out on good people. You miss out on somebody who could have taught you something because you so caught up either in what you see or what you heard instead of going to experience the person, place, or thing for yourself. If you like it, you continue on with it. If you don't, okay, at least you experienced it for yourself. A lot of that's another thing about spiritual awakening. This is an experience for yourself. Your spiritual awakening is not gonna be like Tom, Jeff, Harry, Susan, and Megan. It's not gonna be in the same time. It's not gonna be in the same place. It's not gonna be with the same people. None of that.
Yeah.
This is an individual thing. Your relationship with God, Spirit, Allah, Buddha, whatever you want to call him, that is your personal experience, your personal relationship. And what are you doing to be strong in your personal relationship? Damn, we done lost everybody.
I lost everybody.
But that's all I'm
I'll
saying.
be right back. No, I agree. I feel like it depends on where you are mentally too, which is another thing that's spiritual because you could be in a crappy mood and people could be commenting negatively on whatever you post, and it's just you're taking it personal because it's where you are. And that person is obviously not on their journey enough to not be rude to you. So it's like you're at a crossroads with people, and it's all in how you're taught to deal with things that are higher than you. And that's what I meant earlier when I said, like, even teaching your children just to be mindful, not to think that things are okay, but just be mindful and be respectful of others and the earth in general. I'm trying to be polite because I have a lot of words. TikTok has made me mad lately. But just to teach people kindness and acceptance. Like, you don't have to be angry at individual people or the world to make your life better or to be beneficial to what you're doing in your life. Just be kind. It costs nothing to just be nice to people in the world.
People feel like because you put something on the internet that they have the right to say, "Oh, that ain't right," or "This ain't right." You can scroll. If you can't be encouraging, just scroll. If you don't like it, you know what? Sometimes there's a little three dots or something that you can press on that says, "Hey, I don't want to see this content no more," or you can hide it, or whatever the
Or
case may be.
block me.
Right, or block all of that. And if you choose
Block me.
not to, that's on you. But don't feel as though you have the right to
Mm.
be insensitive or rude or disrespectful to somebody.
Entitled.
Like that's
People are
ridiculous.
so entitled today. It's terrible. I grew up with, even though I grew up more Southern Baptist, I was always taught that, one, if you don't have anything nice to say, you don't say anything at all. And if you don't agree with something and someone is nice to you, you're still polite. You're a human being and you accept someone else for being a kind human being. And I feel like that's not taught at all anymore. People don't teach the fact that it's okay to be different, but still be like, "Hey, I like you. You're a nice person." People don't talk about that anymore.
Mm-mm. No, because you get more exposure and things for being nasty.
Oh yeah.
This world
And
now
yeah.
is
And
ridiculous.
even being a creator, no matter what's also interesting is because even if you're a creator and you get negative engagement, you're still getting engagement, and people are so rude and so nasty. They don't understand that even when they speak negatively against you, they're still boosting you up in a way. And if they were what do you call it? More open or more insightful as to what's happening around them, they'd notice that if they don't like something, you just keep your mouth shut and that wouldn't get bigger. The
Yeah.
engagement that it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger because they won't keep their mouths shut.
Mm-mm.
I kind of ironic, actually.
Well, I'm sorry about that, y'all. I needed to get out here real quick. But yeah, I think that like we all agree on the fact that a lot of us like got into more spiritual things when we saw that religion wasn't the way, or certain religions, of course, because not all of them are bad or whatever. They all have their things. I see the benefit on them. That's what I'm saying. But I feel like a lot of people, when they see that that's not for them, is when they actually look, what else can I do? And I remember when I saw that a certain religion wasn't for me, I said, I may not be religious, but spiritually I'm doing my part. You know what I mean? Like, it was
Mhm.
like, I may not do what church tells me to do to pray, but I have my moments of conversations with myself and whatever else is out there. So it's like, it's, you know what I mean? It's like, that's where my spiritualism started, I guess. That it was like, I do not pray, but I do meditate a little bit, or I do, try to manifest, or I do have those conversations, of what I want to do and like where I am in life and all of that. So I feel like it's just the same without the names that they give it, right?
Mm.
Uh-huh.
I was
But
always taught that even if you said it in your head, you didn't have to say it out loud and pray on your knees or pray to a pastor, as long as you knew that either you did something wrong or you did something really great. It was okay to reflect on those things, but also the thought that you shouldn't feel guilty for messing up or feel that you have to give praise because you did something right. It's because it's just right in that moment.
right,
And
But always show
most religions don't
gratitude.
teach that.
yes,
Always
Gratitude is
show
great.
gratitude. Always show gratitude. That is the main thing. To show gratitude, to be grateful. That is part of, again, your relationship. You, between you and God, whatever you want to call them, spirit, the universe, whatever.
yeah,
That is between you and who you pray to.
exactly.
Mhm.
And I feel like a lot of what we've talked about here in this weekly segment, most of the things that we talked about is more on how to focus those intentions better in a way that you can notice when the results happen. But I think it's more like a focus thing, because every time we talk, I always hear the be grateful, be intentional, make sure you have your intentions set right and all that.
So
So I
in your prayer,
do it. We
you
just did
pray,
focus.
you pray to give me direction.
Right.
Give me direction. I need this answer to be given to me in a way that I know this
Yes.
is the answer to my situation. This is the answer to my prayer. That, and when it manifests, that's how you know that it's been answered. Now, sometimes it might not manifest in the way that you want it to be manifested, but it's there. So
Right.
that's why they say to be intentional in all that you do, to be
That's
precise,
why
to
that's
be
why I think that journaling
detailed.
and writing things down is important because you can always go back, and even if you're down on yourself and you're thinking, I didn't manifest this, I didn't think hard enough. You go back and you realize it happened when it was supposed to. You just didn't realize it because you were so focused. You
Right.
couldn't see the signs.
One of my favorite scriptures out the Bible is Bible says to write it down and make it plain.
Mhm.
When we manifest, if you are spiritual, a lot of people who, I don't care if you Wiccan, I don't care if you hoodoo, voodoo, a lot of them will tell you to write it down. Everything is to be written.
Yeah.
Write it down
Put it out.
and make it plain. If your if your intention is your thing that you're trying to do, I want to be more connected to the divine. I want to be more in tune with God. Then you write that down. Yo, to write it down and make it plain. And
See,
then
that's what I feel about like even all religions. It doesn't matter what religion you look into. They all believe in a higher power, a God. It's always the messiahs that are different. But if you look at it, the rules to their religion, their commandments, if you will, they're very similar. They're worded differently depending on the group of people they're talking to. And I've tried to tell so many people that, and I'm like, yes, I've read the Bible. I have read these things. It's all in how you interpret them because
Yes.
they're all so similar. It depends on not only how you interpret them, but at the time, at the century, at the decade you interpret them, you bring them into your life and follow them that way. I think most people they don't understand that. And I've talked to older people and they're confused because it was preached to them and indoctrinated to them so hard. They just don't understand what I mean when I say that. When it's okay to look harder into things than they're taught to you.
Mm-hmm. I agree. There's a lot to unpack there, but I definitely feel like everyone's on the same page. It's just when we focus on what makes us like the differences of what we believe, that we don't understand that we're all in the same
Mhm.
belief, basically. So yeah. So what are let me see. What are things that convinced you? I mean, if you were a little skeptical at first, I don't know if anyone actually started growing into believing in more spiritual things, or like witchy things, let's call it, like, like on this side of things. Is there anything that made you less skeptical?
Well, I grew up in a house where religion was not pushed. If you went to church, you went to church. My mom didn't care if you went to church on Saturday. She didn't care if you went to church on Sunday.
Yeah.
If you came to our house, you would see a final call in our house, which is a um Muslim newspaper. Uh, we talked about what y'all would call witchy things. So like I didn't grow up in a house where nothing was, no stone was unturned.
Yeah.
So um coming to my own. Damn, I just forgot your question. I was just that fast.
Like if there was anything that made you believe or made you less skeptical of, yeah, this actually is a thing, like witchy things
Nah,
actually work, or
nothing. Mm-mm.
yeah.
No. What made me skeptical is how people of different religions would try to bash those cultures who
Mm,
were okay. So I give you an example. Voodoo is has been around way longer than Christianity,
right.
and how people will bash it and things of that nature without knowing what it really is, without doing the research and understanding what it really is. You know what I'm saying? Because of someone saying those people who practice this are ignorant. So, you know what I'm saying? Like,
It's the same with paganism. Paganism was way before Christianity,
yeah. And so
way before Catholicism.
I'm skeptical of those who don't do research. I'm
Mm.
skeptical of those who just outright say anything without knowing someone or any, you know what I'm saying? Like you have no ties or no research stating why something is or why you believe. You know what I'm saying? You just got, oh, what the Bible say. Mm-mm.
Mm.
Yeah, I need more than that. Do you have an experience with this? No. So how do you
It,
know?
I wish people would research other religions. I wish it was more a part of research for college or for just honestly just Bible studies in general. I feel like Bible studies should be, let's read everything and let's compare. Let's talk. In my opinion, there's multiple messiahs. Is there only one God? Possibly. But there has been multiple people that have walked this earth to speak the gospel of God. You don't know what God is. It's explained in every religion in different ways. Similar ways, but different. That's the thing that gets me.
Is anybody in the comments?
We had Jason here, agreeing with a lot of the conversations, saying you could have said it better. Nikki, he agreed with a lot of us. He does say that he thinks there's too much judgment in the world and that only God can judge. So there's another thing. It is very interesting because it's like if you sit down with people and you have this conversation, without trying to be like, no, it's my way or the highway, most people will see that we all agree with each other. It's just a matter of, like I said, keeping an open mind. But for the witchy things, it's like I feel like if there's a lot of I feel like there's a lot of acceptance now because people are realizing that these rituals and this process that people go through to do anything that is witchy or spiritual or everything, they can see as, oh, that's just manifesting, that is just, and I guess like the meditation manifesting, like being mindful, being reflective has been normalized so much that now people realize that those rituals is exactly that. It's just that it gives you like a task on how to do it that helps you focus better. And I think that's why it's accepted more now. Because yeah, a few years ago we would be burning out a steak for doing this YouTube channel, but I feel like people are like opening up more to it when you say it in a way that is like
Mhm.
manifesting and things like that. Like
It's
I
all over TikTok now, all the candles and the different spirit boards, like, you
right
didn't see that a couple years ago at all.
no
People were like,
no.
"No."
That's the funny thing because I know, for example, in my family, the person that raised my mom, he was a pastor, like in a Baptist church. So he was very religious, but it's like it wasn't Christianism, so it wasn't as extreme in Puerto Rico, right? Um, my mom tried to put me in Christian Bible school and all that because it was like the norm, I guess. I feel like my mom did it in a way of like, I don't want you to miss out on that if you want, because it's part of our culture and it's so prominent in our culture that she was like, there you have it. But I was like, I don't want it. So whatever. Like we didn't go that route.
But see,
But
I'm the same with my kids. I'm like, "Listen, I want you to know that it exists, and if
right.
you believe in that, that's cool. If you don't, let's talk about it."
But my grandma, my one of my grandmas is very, very religious and she is, of course,
Mhm.
very devoted. And she's the kind that she would see that I wasn't really interested. So she would give me like on my birthday a book that had like Bible stuff, or you know what I mean? Like it was like she was like, there you go.
I know exactly.
And like, oh, you like Harry Potter, that's witchery stuff and blah blah blah. But it's funny because she would, if I would go and say I'm doing witchy stuff and I'm doing this ritual and all that stuff, it's like that's paganism, that is bad, that's witchy stuff, blah blah blah. But if I tell her I'm just taking a moment to meditate and I'm manifesting to achieve my goals, she would be like, oh, that's great. You know what
That's
I
cool
mean?
because 'cause you're
Same.
explaining it in a way that people get it.
Exactly. But what I mean is like it's the same shit. You just change the labels a little bit. And like me saying I'm gonna do it this way, so it helps me focus my intentions on what I want and all that, and I do a whole ritual around it. Suddenly it's bad when it's the same stuff. So I use her as an example because she is exactly that kind of person that if she sees anything that she has given the symbolism of that's bad, she will immediately be like, no, you shouldn't be doing that. But if
Yeah.
I tell it in a
She's
way that
like,
it's like,
"Convert, convert, convert." Like,
yeah,
it's
if
got
I
you.
take away all those labels and all that symbolism, she immediately would be like, oh, that's great. And
That's
I think that's funny.
great.
I just think it's funny. It's just
No,
interesting.
it's awesome though, because I get exactly what that means because it's like when you're speaking, especially to like an older population, they see like meditation and deep thoughts as praying and centering yourself. When you talk about anything like, I'm gonna do this spell or this ritual, or I'm gonna like anything witchy at all, it's against everything that they believe because it was a different time. They
Exactly.
get it, but you have to explain it to them in a way to make them get it.
Yeah, that's what's interesting to me. That like they're okay
we
with it. It's just that they have been told that that's wrong.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. But yeah, I
It
think
is.
this was an interesting conversation. We got deep, we got into it, we got into the religion of it and everything. And by the way, someone actually messaged me on Instagram asking me before, because I did talk before about what I believe, which is deism, and I said I'll explain it later. But it's basically, theism is basically that you believe there's something higher, like there's a higher power, there's something bigger than us. However, it is not defined for me. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a god. I don't know if it's Mother Nature. I don't know if it's an alien in a spaceship looking at us. I don't know. But I do believe that there's something higher. But the most important thing is that I believe that we do have free will, which is something that a lot of religions go against, that they do believe that God handles everything and moves every little piece of it, and you have basically no responsibility. And I do believe that people do have free will and that we're responsible for everything we do. So that's basically what deism is.
Interesting. I've never heard of that before. Now I'm gonna look further into it because I feel like it's a lot of what I believe.
I'm telling you, it was like in college, because I remember it got to a time where I said, I'm an atheist. And I was like, I really am not. I do believe that there's something above. I don't believe
Right,
there's nothing. And then someone told me you're agnostic. And I was like, but I know what I believe. I'm not confused. So I
right.
kept looking, and that's when I found about deism. And I was like, this is exactly what I believe. Jason said, love the song Avenge better for Nightmare. Great song. I have not heard that song, Jason, but it seems like
I
it is
have.
it's related to the topic that we were going with. Thank you.
Dark, yes.
We'll check it out. We'll check it out. But yeah, is there anything else anyone wants to add to the topic of tonight? Because I think we're wrapping it up, y'all.
Nah, I think this was great. This was
Right?
a
It was
good
very deep
conversation.
tonight.
I feel like it was good because I feel like at the end of the day we were like, yeah, no, we all on the same page. Like, we all got this different,
Yeah,
yeah, but we all on the same page. I like it. I like it. Usually religion talk doesn't go that way. So
Yeah, you absolutely correct. It does not.
usually people are like, I do not agree, and I was like, no,
no. I'm gonna get off and I'm gonna do a lot of research now because I had never heard of that before and now I'm fascinated.
well, thank you so much for joining us, for the watchers and everyone else that tunes in later. We'll be back next week with another very interesting topic for our Witchy Wednesday. Make sure to catch us tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be back with our models live. We will be having a little Exotica recap for those that were there and for those that weren't, just to know what could happen on the next one. And make sure don't miss it. We'll be tomorrow night. I actually don't know if it's gonna be 11 p.m. like always. Give me a second because I do need to look at that. So I can give y'all the right time to tune in. It's gonna be 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time like usual, but we will soon probably have a little change on our schedule on our weekly lives to make it more accessible to the people that join us. So just 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 keep watching. I am Big Cherry. You can find me on bigbigcherry.com. I have here Miss Apple Honey,
I'm BB Apple Honey. You can find me at bbapplehoney.com.
and we have Miss Nikkeii Chevelle, who's off camera, but you'll see there the YouTube and the Instagram. Hey,
Greetings. Greetings. You can find me everywhere: Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. I'm everywhere you want to be, like the Discover card, baby.
hey, perfect. Make sure to use our link witchy.iheartbbw.com, where you can send any questions. If you want any tarot readers to answer any questions for you, you can use it. Any suggestion for topics, you can use that too. There's a form right there, and there's also information on where you can find the people that help the Witchy Wednesdays and where you can tip them and everything if you would like to. And if you want to contact them, I know that Jess is available for tarot readings, and Nikkeii, I know that she could talk to you. I don't know if she would read your tarot because it was very heavy last time that she did it. But
Yes. Hey, hit me up. I'm open.
there you go. She's a
Heavy, heavy.
Yeah, no, it was heavy. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Bye bye. Have a good
Good
night.
night.
Back to painting my room. Bye bye, y'all. Bye, Jay.
Bye.
I hope you all have a beautiful, amazing rest of the night. You too, Jason.
You too,
You
Jason.
too.
Bye bye.
Bye.